Rahul Nagar. Today we are discussing about self. What is the importance? Division level, increase surface area, regulations. So coming to the prokaryotic, it is the simplest and no organelle, no nucleus, no membrane bound organelle. DNA uncomplex by histones. Prokaryotes can live to the coldest, hottest, most acidic and most highly pressurized environment. They can live in places such as beneath the earth, bare rock, under the glaciers, floating around in colds and miles down of the sea floor at temperature greater than 100 centigrade. Bacteria live mostly on the surface of objects where they grow as a colonies. The bacteria are important in making soil, feeding cows, controlling the insects, and making the medicine, and making the bioplastics, and making the plant grows and degrades the pollutants such as oil and plastics, as well as in the causing diseases. So some most bacterial species as they are unnamed, unidentified. 10,000, about tens of thousands of species have been isolated. There are more than 15,000 known species of bacteria living the sea. Most famous is E. coli bacteria, Escherichia coli. So E. coli is well studied. The cell is enveloped and plasma membrane constitutes and pili like adherent cells, and flagella population like a proportional through the aqueous environment, and chemistry similar to the owls. So some strains frequently cause diarrhea in the travels, and it is the most common cause is urinary tract infections. One strain designated 0.5 to 0 oxygen hydrogen is particularly virulent and has been responsible for the several dangerous outbreaks in the people eating the contaminated food, usually undercooked hamburger. Several important drugs, insulin for example, are no manufactured in E. coli, Escherichia coli. So coming to the eukaryotics, more complex, more DNA has to be folded and histones positively charged proteins. So this structure is some of the plasma membrane compartment plasma membrane, Golgi complex, and mitochondria, and also Golgi complex, lysosomes. These are the components of nuclei and nucleoplasm, nucleic acids, mRNA, RNA, DNA. These are the so all the made by the cell. These are the coming to the plasma membrane. Here is compartmentalizations, huge number of proteins and transporters like nutrient carriers and receptor signal transactions, and lipid and proteins and semi-permeable polar and charged ions cannot cross freely. Coming to the nucleus, one of the cellular part is nucleus. This nucleus is double membrane, that means it contains DNA, genetic materials, chromatin versus chromosomes. It forms the nucleus is the DNA, it contains DNA. DNA is the genetic information storage. So also histones, proteins that are previously charged that wind up DNA. So coming to the endoplasmic reticulum, so rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This rough endoplasmic reticulum, the presence of ribosomes, proteins synthesis occurs there. Here for those proteins that will be rooted out of cells. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, lipid synthesis, and also this is involving to the metabolism of drugs and toxicity of substances. Coming to the Golgi complex, this is the cellular part of post office, and protein synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum. It is packed with the extras such as sulfur carbon dioxide and lipid mitosis, and then the proteins are directed to the either cells and membrane outside of the cell or within the cells. And in other words, the proteins are flagged for their next distinction. So mitochondria, this mitochondria is a major, it is a powerhouse of cells. ATP production, the ATP generation has its own DNA, uses the nutrients to make energy. In plants, chloroplast makes sugar from sunlight, endosymbiotic therapy. Coming to the lysosomes, it is animal cells, recycling centers that can be break down the proteins, and also it is in plant cells. These vacuoles. So paroxysms break down and hydrogen peroxidase. So coming to the cytoskeleton, an integral organizations of it assists the plasma membrane retaining the cell shape and allow the cell to move. Microtubules, rods, tubulin and arrangement the motions. Actin proteins filaments for the cell rigidity. Myosin moves along the actin using the ATPs. So coming to the viruses, these viruses will be major. We'll talking about the major. Talking about the it contains nucleotide and surrounding the by the protective cell shaped like a cell or capsid. So how it is means uses of host cells enzymes that ribosomes replication for replications. So virus is a major virions. What is the virus is replication is bacteriophage viruses, and viruses replicate with the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So these are the 6 steps of replication in viruses. Those are penetration and maturations and releases and develop. So these are the replication of virus steps. Lysogenic phase, viruses maybe remain dormant inside host cells for the long periods. There is no obvious change in their host cells. How virus is very poisonous, like it can be lytic and new viruses produce assembly host cells of the host cells.